everyone, welcome back to the Mentally Misunderstood YouTube channel. Daniela from Happy Pill and I are so excited to be back filming at the beautiful USC. And to be here is like just such an honor to be able to film here and have our YouTube channels have started here.
Yeah.
And so today we've got a bit of a different background. We kind of just are rolling with it, unedited, unfiltered, so that you guys can kind of just see like life at USC. And we're just gonna get to talking. And so today, what we've done is we had a meeting and we kind of reevaluated how we can make this YouTube channel as relevant as possible for you guys, because at the end of the day it's not about our stories, it's about how we can help transform your stories. So both Danielle and I get questions asked to us all the time, and so what we did is we thought the best way that we could get to you guys and get through to you guys and give you guys a show that you guys want to watch is by discussing some of the most common questions that we receive and how we would answer them and react to them. But I just ask that you guys keep in mind that we are not mental health professionals. We are mental health sufferers who have overcome the worst of our disorders, but we are just giving advice and support, and we're trying to do something totally different, I feel like, than that. Neither of us are in school to get our degrees. That's not what we're doing this for. We want to bring something a little bit more relevant to the media and to you guys, where we're eye level with sufferers. And so that's kind of where we're trying to find a medium in between a therapist and a friend. And I kind of love the way that this is going, and I want to help create this niche that I don't know that really exists yet. So anyways, do you want to go ahead and, what did the first writer
so we asked some questions and we got some submitted, so we kind of went along with what was the most important that we thought that we got every day.
And these are anonymous, by the way, so there's no names being used of who wrote these in or anything like that.
Exactly. So the first one that we can talk to is, I feel so alone with my mental illness. How can I be less of an outsider and feel a sense of place? So you can start with this since they use the word outsider. What does that kind of mean to you? Maybe how have you overcome that? And then I can talk a little bit about that myself.
Yeah.
And how, like, what kind of advice do you give to people?
Yeah. So this is a really common question of, I feel so alone. It doesn't matter what mental disorder you have or mental illness. I feel like so many people always feel so alone in whatever it is that they have. Whether it's depression or body dysmorphic disorder or obsessive compulsive disorder or bipolar, there's always going to be an issue with feeling a sense of being an outsider. And that's something that I can personally attest to. Of course, like I'm the OG obsessive outsider, you know, I totally get it. And so I do get this question a lot. And what I typically say is I have to put myself back in that place because I don't feel that way anymore. And so the best way for me when I answer this is to go back to myself and go back into that like period of my life that I don't want to have to go back into. And to be honest, I think the way that you feel less alone is you have to take action. That's really what it comes down to, because I used to sit in my dorm room. I wouldn't be able to get out of bed. Like I didn't really find reason to, except to go to class. And I missed out on all of the events, and my RA even would have events and things, and I would call my parents and I would be so sad, and they're like, why don't you go to these events? And I'm like, I'm not going to go alone. Like, I don't know anyone. No one's going to talk to me. And, you know, and I would just like go eat by myself, do things alone, and it only made me feel worse. And it wasn't until like 2 years into that type of behavior until I started like putting myself in situations where I literally was less alone.
Yeah.
Whether it was, you know, just sitting down at a table where other people were eating and actually trying to act as normal as I could and introduce myself and, you know, just try to make friends and be friendly. And you have to kind of sometimes be aware of what the vibes that you're putting off. Sometimes when we feel really alone, we are putting off negative vibes. And other people are, you know, are kind of like, oh, okay, like, and that might be why people aren't reaching out to you or something like that. I noticed that I used to do that all the time. Is people, once I started to make friends, people started to say things like, you know, you had a resting BF, you know,
Yeah.
because you just looked like you were so upset all the time and so sad. And it's true, I did. I was very lonely. And so I think when I changed my approach and I just walked around I put a smile on, and I would walk around campus and I would actually pretend like I would fake it till I make it. And it worked for me personally. And to feel a sense of place, it's easier said than done, but I would do things like joining different like groups in your home, in your town, or your college, or your work, or a gym. Just trying to join different things that you enjoy doing. Like, what are your hobbies? Can you start an Etsy shop? Can you start something where you can bring people to you? You know, like, you just want to make sure that you find ways you have to create your own sense of place. And that's kind of, I think, what it comes back to is everyone's always searching outward.
Yeah.
And it comes back to like you really starting out with the mentality yourself that you don't want to be alone. You don't want to be an outsider. And once you change and shift that mentality, I think that things start to look up.
And I agree. I think also one of the things is recognizing that sometimes when you're around people, it's normal not to immediately click with people. Like, you can be around a group of 20 people and still not feel, and it's normal. Like, that's not like something that people like immediately feel. Like, I sit and I'm it's interesting. I took like the introvert, like the Myers-Briggs test, and I consider myself like I can talk to people. I'm social, but I was still tested as an introvert.
Really?
Which is really interesting to like look at how people perceive different things. And so like talking to people is very, like talking in groups can be very different, and it doesn't mean that you automatically click. I think one thing to do to feel like a sense of place sometimes is making it, even if you feel like you can't help yourself, you can help others.
True.
Whether it's like volunteering at like an animal shelter or at a soup kitchen, or helping your neighbor plant something, like asking like a friend or a peer something, like
getting
hey, like,
out of yourself and into that is actually so true. And a lot of people that I have met with obsessive compulsive disorder say that some of their best therapy has been volunteering and by helping other people with OCD, and that in turn helps their mental health because you're getting out of your mind and into life. And that's ultimately kind of what you have to do. Like, instead of making it about you and you being so alone, try to make it about, other people. You know that saying that goes something like, the loneliest I've ever been is in a room full of 100 people. Yeah. That is something that I used to feel like, it was like the more people in a room, the less like fit in I felt,
Yeah,
like
I agree.
I felt more alone. And so I think that that's really good advice. It's about putting yourself out there. It's about being in that uncomfort zone. And, there's not many parts of life that are comfortable except your bed. And so if you want to live and be able to get out of that zone, you kind of have to force yourself. And even if you start by volunteering or something like that, or trying a new hot yoga class or something where, I did that and made a couple friends. And I mean, you just never know. Things evolve.